Catherine here, and in today's video, I want to share with you some information that I gained from my meditation on 2026. Some of it is a little bit of prediction stuff, which I don't really like to do predictions per se, because for one, I'm not claiming to be a full-on professional remote viewer or psychic medium or anything like that. I'm just someone who went through a spiritual awakening and then I developed some psychic abilities. They tend to come online when I focus really hard, and then sometimes they come in sporadically. But I do not come from a lineage of psychic mediums or anything like that, so that's why I don't really know how I feel about making prediction videos, especially when timelines shift, more importantly. There is a probable timeline, but there is no way of absolutely knowing for sure when anything is going to happen. There are people who exist that can do that. I am not claiming to be one of them, but I did get some interesting things in, so I'm going to share that with you. What I do get pretty comfortably is just an energetic feel of what the year is going to feel like for the majority of people that are within this community, as in conscious, spiritually awakened individuals. I feel like there is a certain group of us that are leading the charge of the change for the human species on an evolutionary basis. And so I am speaking more about them, about us, because we are all part of the same collective team. And this information just seems to resonate more with that group of people because you guys are just the ones that get it. But before I get into that, I do want to acknowledge that I have not been on YouTube for quite some time. It's probably been about a month. And I really needed to take a break. I've had a lot on my plate. 2025 has been a pretty challenging year for me, and I've tried to maintain the YouTube channel as well as I could, and I've done a pretty good job. But I decided to gift the month of December to myself to just be by myself. I even spent time with my family on a certain weekend for the holidays and shifted a lot of the days so that I can just be off and literally by myself. And a lot of people would think that's a sad thing or would take pity on me. But I will tell you right now that it was the best thing I could have given myself. I feel so much better. I feel so recharged. And it's made me rethink about the boundaries that I have set and whether they were actually good enough. So I've learned a lot, and I did a lot of reflection of my personal year of 2025. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that, and I do apologize. I miss you guys. I miss making these videos, and I'm not going anywhere. I've got some things in the works and I'm trying to improve things. So I don't want to leave you guys hanging. So I apologize, and I thank you for being here. You're literally the reason I do this, and it gives me a lot of validation and joy that you guys respond to these videos. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll just get started. Now, back to timelines for a quick second. The way that timelines work is there is a probable timeline that we are all on. And the movie I like to reference is Everything Everywhere All at Once. I love this movie because in order for the characters to shift into gaining another skill or re-accessing a skill that they once had in a previous lifetime, they have to do crazy things like take a post-it note and staple it to their forehead and then put a piece of gum, a chewed up piece of gum underneath the table. Really random stuff. And that was intentional because the idea is that when you shift into a timeline that you are not currently on, you have to do something very drastically different. And so you can actually apply this to your own life by doing something that is completely random, starting to wear your hair differently. That's a small change, but wear your hair differently, start wearing different clothes. When you you almost become a different person. And when you do that, you immediately set yourself on a different timeline. So that's how timelines work. Now, depending on where the collective is, the collective will be on a particular timeline, and the probability will go a little higher the more that people focus on it. So that's why prediction videos have to be a little careful too, because if there is somebody who has a large following, which I don't, I have a modest and yet amazing following, and I just love them so much. Sorry. Um, if someone has a large following and they make a prediction video, they could be predicting something that has a high probability of happening, but they could also be shifting that timeline by stating that timeline. So if someone says, I feel like there is going to be an earthquake, a major earthquake in 2026, and a lot of people see that, then a lot of people start to focus on that energy, and therefore you can actually manifest that energy. Okay. So that's why prediction videos are a little, questionable. But for me, this is just more fun than anything. So I'm just going to share it with you. And whether they happen or not I don't really care. Some of them are a little vague anyway, so they probably will happen. And it's not because I'm like a cool psychic. Okay. So, anyway, so the first thing that I saw was Donald Trump shaking hands with, I believe, probably a leader from Saudi Arabia. I don't know what their attire is called, but it looked like they had the attire with the round thing and the long drape. I should learn what that is, but I don't. So, but it looks like he's shaking hands with a particular gentleman from that country. And the energy felt like there is a deal, but the deal will end up with a truth being revealed. It doesn't seem like it's a facade. The handshake and the representation of that meeting is a facade because something bigger is happening behind the scenes. But it sounds like a lot of us will actually know what that is. So I'm looking forward to that. And I don't know. Sometimes I feel future stuff is so weird to me personally because I see future stuff and I have predicted things, okay? But then when it happens, I question, did I actually predict it or was it time time is happening all at once anyway. So is it really a prediction or is it something that's already happened? You know what I mean? It gets a little weird. So, and then I have my own weird thing about manifestation. Like, did I actually manifest that or did I just predict it? Right? So, anyway, sorry. Another thing that I saw specifically in the US, well, I guess it's not just the US, but a downturn of the stock market. The only visual I got was it's like a chart and then just an arrow just tanking. And does that mean a market crash? I don't want to necessarily say that because another thing with psychic abilities and being clairvoyant and getting visuals and things like that is you can get the visual, but then your human mind will kick on and try to interpret the visual. So my human mind was like, oh, there's going to be a market crash. Well, I don't know if there's actually going to be a market crash, but it looked like just the downturn of a market, specifically with the stock market. Now, is that really a profound prediction? No, because currently the market is high right now. It's just a matter of time before the market comes down, and that is normal. That's to be expected. So take that and everything else I say with a grain of salt because, again, your girl is just having fun over here meditating, and I'm just going to share it with you guys. If it resonates, great. And if not, that's totally fine. The next few things that I saw are more weather and climate related. The first thing I saw was a lot of beached whales. And I don't know the specific species of the whales. They didn't look like orcas. They didn't look like sperm whales. So I want to say they were blue whales, but it looked like just a bunch of beached whales. So saw that. And along those lines, I also saw continued unusual weather patterns. Again, is that really a prediction, or is that just something that's been happening to us for the last at least 4 to 5 years? But unusual weather patterns, I got a quick flash of a fire, which, surprise, surprise, right? It seems like we have a wildfire once a year somewhere, but I saw a fire. But then I also saw like a winter storm in East Asia, an unusual winter storm. Of course, they have winter there and it snows there, but this seemed to be a bit unusual. And then I also got a flash of um, like a windstorm in the Middle East. Again, that's not really profound. They get windstorms all the time, but all of these I think were just a little unusual. This makes sense to me because we are going to continue to get unusual weather patterns until the greater collective consciousness starts to realize that these are not natural. Of course, our community knows that, but the majority of the planet still has not accepted that as a reality yet. And so we won't be able to change those things until the greater collective consciousness acknowledges it. Another strange thing I saw was a war or some sort of conflict with ships and fishermen. I don't know if it was the some sort of National Guard and fishermen. I don't know if it was pirates and fishermen. I don't know, but it looked like it was on the ocean with ships, and it looked like fairly common people that tend to be on the ocean for long periods of time, and weapons and firing back and forth. And sometimes, honestly, when I work with clients or friends and family and I do this, it feels pretty easy to tap into that because it's very directed and very intentional, and there's just no confusion about the energies. When I try to do something like this on a greater scale, I tend to get flashes of images of random things, and I don't know if I'm just seeing something that's currently happening. I don't know if I'm seeing something that's already happened. I have made the intention for me to see something that is the highest probability in 2026 that we need to know or that we need to be aware of for the highest good of all involved. Of course, that's the main intention. So these are super random, so that's why. And last but not least, well, I this last one was about Erica Kirk. It looked like she was going to announce something. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if it is that she is going to run for some sort of office. I don't know if she is going to be considering running for presidency. I don't know, but it looked like she was going to announce something. And again, the presidency and the office stuff is my human brain trying to decipher what's happening, but that the visual I got was that she will be saying something. And of course, my human has its own opinion about all that. Just seems. And of course, well, okay, my human mind went back to when she had her speech at Charlie Kirk's memorial, and it seemed pretty like the words were moving, but the words just didn't match with something. It just you guys know what I'm trying to say. And I had a quick moment where I felt like they were preparing her to go into office of some sort, because I don't know if they made her the CEO of Turning Point before or after that. I'm not really sure, but I just remembered watching that memorial and feeling like they were kind of ushering her into some sort of position. So we'll see. And all that stuff is just more fun. I like to do it more for fun because it's very impersonal when it comes to trying to pinpoint certain things that might happen in 2026. So it's a little different when I'm working one-on-one with someone. Now, for the greater message for our community, those that are on the spiritual path, those that are on the consciously intentional life. This particular one, I do feel very confident and very comfortable with because I don't know, I just feel like I get easy access to that kind of information. So, the I asked for a word or a sentence that would represent 2026. And the word that I got was shift. And as soon as the word came into my mind, I immediately became this person that was driving a car. The person that I am in this first person view represents us, it represents the awakened collective. And this person is driving on a freeway and it's a manual car. And you look down and you see the hand and they shift into six and they take off flying. And this car is shifting, or it's steering between cars. It's doing all these cool moves. It's very fast and furious type of driving. And as they're driving, you see people pulled over to the side and they're changing a tire. And then there's another one whose engine is smoking. And then we're driving by like truckers that are eating and not really paying attention to the road. And you see another car with a family and the mom is driving and she's trying to correct her kids and she's, waving her hands in the back. There's all this crazy chaos that's happening, but we as the driver are just zipping through this highway and we're not making any mistakes. It feels fast and it seems dangerous, but it's well controlled. And because it's well controlled, it's not dangerous at all. What I interpret this visual as is those who have done the work, who have done the shadow work, who have been journaling and meditating and going to therapy and going to retreats, all of the people that are doing the self-help and self-improvement work are the ones that are going to be shifting very quickly in 2026. It feels like it feels like I just got I just heard go, 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 as in like it's go time. Okay. So, especially for people within our community, this means that if there is an idea that you've had and you've been sitting on it, if you have been thinking about starting a business, if you've been thinking about getting on social media and being present and creating content, if you have been thinking about being seen and sharing your gift, because we all have a gift, a God-given gift. But sometimes we don't believe in ourselves enough to do that. Well, 2026 will be the year to do it. And it's not only encouraged, but now at this time, because we are shifting, it is your responsibility at this point. It feels like there is an energy of higher dimensional beings, angels, God, source frequency. It feels like the energies of the good, of unity consciousness, of unconditional love, have been watching and have been patient and have been waiting for all of us to sort of accept that we are awakening and to accept the reality that we find ourselves in, and to also accept who we truly are authentically within this reality. It feels like there's been some time to allow us to integrate this new way of existing. And it feels like they have been very patient with us and very loving and just kind of gently nudging us to the edge. But for 2026, it feels like they're going to come behind us and just kick us off the cliff. And we are either going to fall or we are going to spread our wings and fly. And the obvious answer is that we are going to fly. We're all going to fly in our own individual way. And when we do that, the people that are around us are going to watch us fly, and it's going to start creating this energy of encouragement, and it's going to light other people up to watch us take off. Okay, so whatever the thing is that you've been thinking about, it's time to do it. 2026 is the year to do it. This actually matches up with numerology, with the Chinese zodiac. This was the year of the snake, which is like completions and cycles. And this upcoming year is not only the horse, but it's the fire horse. So it's a very passionate force, a force that can't be stopped. That is 2026 collectively. And then for numerology, it's a year one, which is new beginnings. Of course, we all have our own personal year, and so my personal year is different than the collective year. Of course, because this shift is going to be happening rather rapidly for a lot of us, there is going to be a counterbalance or a counter reaction to it from the energies in which that don't want us to shift into that higher frequency. And so as a result, we are going to see some challenges. There's going to be more chaos, which aligns with some of the weather patterns and just some chaos and craziness to happen. We can expect more of that. That's not going away anytime soon, unfortunately. But we have to remember that the chaos is a direct reflection of where we are going. It's a direct counterbalance. So the more chaos that we see, the only thing that truly means is that we're shifting into a higher timeline. And so it's okay to acknowledge the events. It's okay to talk about the events and converse the events. And I would argue that it's okay to maybe even debate a little bit, but only if you stay detached from it. Only if you can remain emotionally neutral about it. You don't necessarily have to ignore the events. You can acknowledge them, and it can be a topic of discussion as long as there is neutrality that remains. By doing this, this is another way that other people will see how unshakable the spiritually awakened individuals truly are. It's like they know something that nobody else knows. They're going to wonder, why aren't you freaking out about this? And it's because somebody has to maintain a higher frequency, and it is our responsibility to do so. A lot of people are going to have their psychic abilities turned on. Their intuition is going to heighten. People's human evolutionary characteristics and traits and gifts. They're not even gifts. It's just where human evolution is going. That's all. They're all going to start to come on. And when these come on, if they haven't already, they're going to just strengthen. Then you're going to have even more confidence that everything is actually going to work out the way it's supposed to work out. Having the intuition, going through the awakening, going through this weird transition time where you don't understand reality because reality seems to be a lie, but everything that you thought was not real actually is real, and now you're experiencing things that can't be explained except by people like me and other people out there that seem to be a little off or woo woo or whatever, but they seem to be making sense in this weird world that you're in. All of that is not for nothing. It's all going to mean something. It might not make very much sense at this moment, but what is time? Okay, what is time? Time is only linear to our perception, to our human perception. When in reality, time is infinite and it's happening all at once. The future has already happened. The past is happening right now. So just remember that as these things continue to happen, it will be for a greater purpose. And it will be your responsibility to use your God-given gifts to help elevate the collective. And one last thing, don't be surprised if you experience a greater frequency in ascension symptoms, headaches, pain, hair loss, hair growth, just random things happening to your body. Just don't be surprised if those start to kick up. I know they're not fun, but it just is part of the ascension. So I personally am nervous about 2026, but I am excited. I feel like it's going to be a good year for a lot of us, and it's about damn time. So, but on that note, I hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Consider subscribing, and I will see you next time.